Hello and welcome back to Radio 1. So this is lecture 4 and we're continuing where we left off in the previous lesson, and that is with module 2, but we're busy with chapter 14, and we're going to be continuing with your audio portfolio as well as your digital portfolio today. And I said both of these are extremely important, especially for you to start building your own as a radio professional. So that's what we'll be focusing on today. If you want to follow along, you can open your Next Level Radio textbook at page 529, which is where we'll be starting now. Okay, so after this lecture, you will be able to identify and discuss the elements that should form part of a body of work for radio. You should be able to, or you'll be able to identify the importance of starting to create content and begin doing so, know how to make an audio portfolio, and know of the practical steps needed to create a great audio demo. At first, the concept of creating a body of work may seem like a challenge. How will you develop a portfolio if you don't have a job at a radio station yet? What should be noted is that digital media has evolved the radio business. In other words, you don't need to be employed at a traditional radio station in order to make a radio show. Instead, you can now develop a radio show on the internet through video streaming or podcasts. Even with just a few listeners, you can gain valuable experience and learn technical skills that will be imperative for the future. Here you can develop your own radio show by live streaming it, or by creating a podcast, recording and producing it, and then uploading it onto a platform for people to listen to. This will help you to practice the development and the delivery of your content. Once you've been able to do this for a while, you will have a substantial portfolio of work, which you can select the best of and the most appropriate pieces for submission for your demo. You can also start as early as you like, as qualifications are not necessary for this type of content. This section that we're looking at now will help you build up your body of work in all the necessary areas to showcase a full, well-rounded candidate for a position in radio. The body of work consists of a number or all of the following elements. Firstly, the audio portfolio. This is specific to on-air roles. Then the digital portfolio. This is for on-air roles. For on-air roles, this is important in terms of your media following. For off-air roles, this is important for your behavior and tone when communicating. Next, the body of work consists of an experience log. This is important for both on-air and off-air roles. Your candidacy for any role is predominantly going to be about your experience to date when you apply. Then volunteering and mentorship. This is especially important at the beginning of any career in radio. What have you done to develop your skills without depending on a formal career? Lastly, networking and relationships. It involves who you know and what they can and will do for you. Can you imagine a footballer, so a soccer player, wanting to play for a professional soccer team without having played soccer before? He or she likes to play, think they're talented, but because they can't get a job in the professional football or soccer team, they sit on the sidelines hoping to play. That's the same analogy as an audio content creator not creating content because no radio station wants to give them a job. You have to get in the game to get a game, okay? So that's where we're getting at now. Like I've just said, so we'll be looking at the audio portfolio, the digital portfolio, experience log, volunteering and mentorship, and networking and relationship building over the next couple of lessons. Let's start with the first one there, the audio portfolio. In order to apply for on-air roles, you need to create a demo. A demo is an audio file that the program manager can listen to and that demonstrates your on-air persona and content delivery. The word demo can be misleading as most program managers will prefer to hear what you have actually already delivered on air rather than you pretending that you are delivering a show that you've constructed at their radio station. However, a demo is beneficial in the sense that it showcases your ideas for content, how that fits in with the station you are applying to. As mentioned, a good demo can include a variety of on-air work that you've already delivered. This showcases different types of content and engagement with members of the team, as well as with listeners through calls and digital interaction. A framework that can be used to assess the content you are using for the demo is the FUBBY model, okay? So remember to create a demo that is fun or funny, useful, beautiful piece of work, bold, and or inspiring. The demo can also include a segment that you would specifically like to pitch to the program manager as something new and fresh to consider for the station you are applying to. Here you need to record as though you were on air. This means that you need to involve the relevant people you need in order to generate the content. It's vital that you make it clear that this segment was not actually broadcast, has been created as a proposal for the station in order to showcase your content development and delivery skills. So how do you create a demo? A minute is a long time in radio, and therefore every second has to count. In this sense, you should always put your best work right up front. Ensure that your demo has a great hook and that it pulls the listener in immediately. A critical point to remember is never to introduce your demo. Your cover letter will do that. You should also avoid anything that sounds generic. Ask yourself the following question. Does this audio piece sound like only I could do it? If so, put that piece first. Ensure that your demo isn't too long and to edit as much music out of it as possible. This is because a program manager does not have the time to listen to extended demos. A good demo will typically be around 2 to 3 minutes long and no longer than 4 minutes. The format of your demo should be an MP3 file that you can share over email via a clickable link that takes the receiver to an online portal on which the demo is loaded and ready to play. So something like you can either send it via something like WeTransfer or via Google Drive or via Dropbox, or if you have a MacBook, you can simply share the link. Ideally, this online portal should be your website or streaming platform. In this way, the program manager is drawn into other information about you and can see how you've represented yourself. When sending out your demo, don't send multiple files or overload the receiver with too many options. Rather, choose your best pieces of work and edit them together in a single listening experience that's no longer than 4 minutes. A program manager or talent coach can always ask you for more samples. If you are already hosting or participating in a live on-air show, don't send a full show recording as a demo. A demo of this length will take too much time for the program manager to listen to. When creating a demo, note that you need to ensure that the demo is of you. So ensure that your voice is the only one that the program manager hears. Having too many other voices on the demo will distract the receiver from your talents and content. Decide what your strength is. And what makes you stand out. If you are good with callers on air, then show that. Alternatively, if you are good at telling an engaging story, then that's what you should show. In this way, you should showcase your strengths and demonstrate that you have mastered the basics. Target the demo to the radio station to which you are applying. It's important to develop a demo that has the relevant content for the type of position that you are applying for. So for example, if you are sending a demo to a talk station, then you can create a speech-based demo. Alternatively, if you are applying for a station that requires specific knowledge, such as knowledge of classical music or sport, include content that relates to that. Don't overproduce your demo. Too much production and editing distracts from the content as well as from your skills, and it makes it difficult for a program manager to focus on you. Exclude weather and traffic reports in the demo. This type of content wastes time in a demo as it doesn't require specific talent to read the report. If necessary, edit these sections out and focus on the content that highlights the skills that you have. Some program managers like to hear how you sell a product. A radio presenter often has to promote events, competitions, and other shows. Therefore, in your demo, you can showcase how you do this within a station's format and demonstrate your ability to lend support to a client or a brand. Find the right balance. Your demo must show that you can engage, that you can be engaging and relatable to a listener, yet also be reliable and a high quality presenter. Get into the habit of recording your best material. You should continually update your demo until you're satisfied that it contains your best work. You should also cut new demos each time you apply to a station, ensuring that it suits the style and the content of each station. So there are many technical elements when it comes to creating a strong demo. However, there are also a number of smaller factors that can help you create a professional demo that showcases your talent in the best possible way. So open with your best work first and foremost. Use your MP3 format, not a WAV format. Tell a good story, okay? Program managers want to hear if you can be a good storyteller. Do not include music, it simply distracts from you speaking. Showcase your personality and be emotive. Show emotion. Okay, let's read example 14a, a good demo on page 532. Most program managers, like other talent-based recruiters, make a judgment on a potential employee in the first few minutes of listening to their demo. If it does not grab their attention immediately, then they may not take the time to listen to the whole thing. Although this may seem harsh, a listener on a radio station does the exact same thing. Program managers are looking for someone who will entertain them, rather than someone who can simply recite a weather report. Quite logically, if you are able to speak intelligently with a unique style, then you are certainly capable of reading a weather report aloud. Many people ask whether you need to have a right voice in order to work on air. Although it's important, it's not the only thing that matters. Listeners select their favorite radio stations due to a station's ability to entertain, inform, and teach them about things they don't know. Great radio makes listeners feel something. This doesn't mean that a presenter needs to make people feel happy all the time. However, it does mean that a presenter needs to retain a strong sense of authenticity and reality. It's therefore important to express genuine emotions so that listeners develop an emotional connection with you. Everyone wants feedback on their material to help them improve for the future. However, most program managers receive hundreds of demos and aren't able to thoughtfully critique each one individually. This is because a program manager has many responsibilities, and listening to demos is time-consuming. If you are lucky, you will at least receive an acknowledgement of receipt for the demo. The key thing to remember when creating and sending out demos is to keep at it. In situations where your application is not successful, your demo may not be the problem. Rather, it may be that the station you are targeting is fully staffed and does not have a vacancy for you when you first apply. However, there may be a day when the program manager needs to replace someone unexpectedly. It's therefore critical that you continue to send your CV out, as your CV may be the one that's picked up when a replacement is needed. Many presenters get their first big break by filling in for someone who has left at short notice. In this sense, it's sometimes about being in the right place at the right time. A demo needs to demonstrate your ideas and originality, and the opening seconds should have the program manager wanting to steal your idea, whether it's an anecdote, a competition idea, a promotion, or just a turn of phrase. Lloyd recalls a lecture by John Walters, a producer for John Peel, where he talks about how dismayed he was when students would send him demos of themselves sounding like they were from large commercial radio stations. He believed that as students on student radio, they have a unique opportunity to do things that large commercial radio stations would not be willing to try. And that is a fact. While you are working at a campus radio station or a community radio station, you are able to push barriers that people at commercial radio stations can't. So don't sound like a generic everyday. So don't sound like you're doing a piece on a commercial radio station. Rather sound like you're trying to push the boundaries by coming up with these great ideas and simply trying to make them work on a demo. Okay. So let's start looking at your digital portfolio. Your digital portfolio refers to the record of all of your interactions online, such as what social media do you use, your personal website or blog, what content you post, how you interact with other people, any reference to you in online articles or on other accounts. In this sense, your digital profile refers to your particular digital footprint online and what it says about you. Your digital profile includes anything that a person may see if they were to search for your name online. Upon receiving your application, one of the first things that a hiring manager will do is to look you up online. Creating a strong digital profile will ensure that the hiring manager sees what you want them to see and that they get a clear idea of your personality, interests, experience, and skills. Most people use at least one form of social media. If we look at the platforms that have the largest user base in various sections of Africa, so specifically Southern Africa, West Africa, and East Africa, they are Facebook, WhatsApp, YouTube, Instagram, Twitter, Google+, Yahoo, Snapchat, LinkedIn, and Pinterest. So the graph on page 533 will provide you with some guidance as to where your profile should be developed, as well as what types of social media platforms may be most useful. Social media is an extremely beneficial way to market yourself, as it's free to use and you have control over what you post and what you upload. So you'll see on page 533 that in Southern Africa, Facebook is utilized by about 86% versus WhatsApp, that's on 90%, versus YouTube, that's just under 60%, versus Instagram, that's on about 57%, versus Twitter on 40%, etc., etc. And then if you look at East Africa, Facebook is on approximately 94%, with WhatsApp on about 78%, with YouTube on 58%, etc., etc. Once you have formed a well-managed social media presence, you need to practice engagement with the right people and platforms. So let's look at a couple of steps that can be taken in order to achieve this, and in the process, become more exposed to and more knowledgeable about the radio industry. So follow your favorite radio stations. Read about what the stations are doing. Participate in their campaigns and competitions. Follow their suggestions and recommendations. They will also share information regarding job openings, mentorship programs, and volunteer opportunities on their social media feeds. Follow your favorite presenters and radio shows. Study how they word their content, how often they post, and what they say in posts and comments. Develop your own thinking around what you do and don't like as a consumer of their content, and implement that on your own social media platforms. Examine how they engage with the radio stations they work for, as well as with their co-workers, followers, and other people in the industry. Look at how much information they share about their personal lives and at other work or projects that they do outside of presenting. Follow reliable and credible news feeds. Make sure that you follow reliable and journalistically researched and staffed news feeds. In other words, don't base your knowledge of world events on the viewpoints of individuals who are not communicating objectively. Follow the right feeds to ensure that you're getting accurate, fair, and balanced communication from which you can develop your own opinions regarding the going-ons in the world. Follow the station managers and the program managers that you admire. Get to know their faces and the voices behind the management of your favorite radio stations. Study how they communicate and interact, and listen to their opinions and their viewpoints on different subjects or on different topics. This will help you to tailor your profile to their expectations and tastes, and to learn about what would be expected of you if you were to work at one of those stations. Subscribe to newsletters, podcast channels, and video channels of radio stations you like. Most radio stations have all of these options. Through these channels, stations share and promote their content, as well as create new content for their particular audiences. Watch, read, and listen to their content. Learning as much as you can about the stations you want to join puts you in the best position to secure opportunities at those stations. Your website or audio portal should be kept current, and you should regularly make time to keep it up to date. On this website or portal, you should create content of various kinds for your site, link your social media profiles so that you can promote your content, drive traffic to your site. You should create an introductory video or audio recording that tells people about you and your content. All your best demos and audio content are labeled, captioned, and tagged so that it's easy for people to locate what they're looking for. Okay, so we're now going to look at example 14b on page 535 of Next Level Radio. And this reading and exercise is really important, okay? So don't skip on working through this part of the lesson. So how to build your social media profile. Roxy Burger is a well-known South African television presenter, having started her career as a children's television host on the television show KTV. Since then, she's hosted Is How Do I Look essay and has presented for SABC3's Top Billing and MTV. Moreover, she was a contestant on Survivor South Africa, the Celebrity Edition, and is currently, at the time when they were writing this book, up the social media for 5FM. Roxy's 10 steps to creating an effective digital profile. Unfortunately, these days, simply being talented is not enough. With the rise of the digital landscape and the ever-increasing floods of social content being created, standing out from the crowd is one of the largest obstacles in achieving your radio or broadcast dreams. These days, one of the most important factors is to have a digital footprint. After receiving an application, the first thing many program and marketing managers will do, like any true digital native and employer, is search you on social media to see what you are all about. When this happens, you don't want your potential employer to find finding drunken photos of you taking tequila shots, which have been tagged by friends on Facebook, or absolutely no trail showcasing who you are and what you are about. First impressions count, and these days they often occur online. Although some may say that a digital profile is a necessary evil, it can be a fantastic opportunity to put your profile out there and showcase your talent in the very best light. Number 1, who are you outside of the digital space? It's critical to think about who you are outside of broadcasting. What do you love? What motivates you? What drives your passion for broadcasting? These are the things that make you, you. You should embrace these things and include them in your digital profile, as they are also the elements that will ensure that you are a unique broadcaster. Number 2, pick an angle or two. The next step is to narrow down a few angles and then to pick those that you want to digitally focus on. Once you've done this, you can create a strategy around them. Showcasing yourself as the best possible broadcaster you can be should be at the top of your list. You should also think about how you're going to show this. Will it be through humor or funny videos? Will it be through fashion or perhaps through impactful interviews? Whatever it may be, showcase your talent and give them an angle. Number 3, authenticity is key. In the early days of social media were all about displaying your best and your most well put together self. There's now a new generation at the helm, and they are demanding a more authentic approach to social media. Although this is not necessarily a good thing, if you are positioning yourself as a participant in media, it does have a number of benefits. This new culture of social media encourages more accessibility and authenticity, and makes people vulnerable, human, and relatable. All 3 of these qualities also play a role in making you a successful broadcaster. Number 4, be consistent. This is where it gets difficult. Creating and curating digital and social media platforms is hard work. There are no shortcuts and no quick fixes. It takes many hours and much of your own time and resources to create a dazzling digital footprint. However, it's vital to keep in mind that if you don't want to be on a certain platform, such as Instagram, then you don't have to be. However, if you enjoy being an orator and a podcaster, then it's a good idea to consistently upload content and update your blog. Number 5, learn the technical side of social media. When it comes to the technical side of social media, it's beneficial to know your algorithms and to become familiar with the backend information on the platforms you decide to use. Additionally, you should keep up to date with the trends, with the tech trends and the latest algorithms. This can affect the reach, the impressions, the engagement, and the performance of your profiles. If you can beat the algorithm, then you are well on your way to success. You should therefore sign up for newsletters, read tech blogs, watch tutorials. In other words, keep learning. Number 6, know when to follow the rules. Simply having social media platforms does not mean that you have to use it at every opportunity that you get. Rather, you should know when to be vocal and what to be vocal about. In other words, you should know how to say something and know when not to say anything at all. There's a very thin line when it comes to social media, and when that line is crossed, it can have a negative effect. Although it does not mean that you have to be serious-minded and neutral on every topic, you should be aware of when and how to bring the message across. Sometimes silence can be the strongest form of communication. It's critical to remember that what you say, even on your personal platform, can have ramifications for your broadcast employer. Most companies these days, therefore, have social media policies that must be adhered to. They can become tricky. This can become a tricky area for those so-called shock jocks, so those DJs who entertain listeners by using humor and/or melodramatic exaggeration, and who may come across as offensive. However, this cheeky outlook on life is exactly why DJs were employed in the first place. Simply put, broadcasters need to share their thoughts on social media platforms with dignity. Number 7, never copy anyone else. It's very easy to want to copy someone else's style, aesthetic, or formula. Although it can be difficult to avoid this route, you should try to discover your own niche. So what makes your feed, your timeline, or content different? Don't be afraid to try something new. Very often, that's what will get you noticed. Number 8, become digitally multi-skilled. Budgets are always tight. The chances that you will one day have a digital entourage of photographers, videographers, and editors, as well as stylists and makeup artists, are slim to none. You should therefore learn to do it yourself. In other words, learn to vlog, edit, and use Photoshop. By doing this, you will become a multi-skilled digital marketer who can do anything required in order to deliver the best content possible. Such skills will stand you in good stead in creating content consistently without having to spend thousands of rands. Additionally, by having a vast array of skills, you will be very attractive as a media employee. Number 9, protect your privacy. Note that not everything has to be put online. In other words, something should be kept out of the public eye. It's helpful to decide what those things will be when you enter the broadcasting space. For some, it's not sharing their children's images online, while for others, it's to never discuss politics. Last but not least, have fun. One of the most important points to remember is to have fun. You should find comfort in knowing that ultimately you will be creating content, and as a broadcaster, that should excite you. Moreover, curating a space where your personality lives online should get those creative juices flowing. So Roxy's 10-point plan again. Number 1, who are you outside of the digital space? Number 2, pick an angle or two. Number 3, authenticity is key. Number 4, be consistent. Number 5, learn the technical side of social media. Number 6, know when to follow the rules. Number 7, never copy anyone else. Number 8, become digitally multi-skilled. Number 9, protect your privacy. And lastly, number 10, have fun. What I want you to do for me for homework is activity 14B on page 538. Number 1 there says, in your own words, briefly summarize the types of content that should be included in a body of work. Number 2, identify whether the following statements are true or false. If they are false, you need to substantiate your answer. A good demo should include music. B, always end a demo with your best work. C, when you listen to your demo, ask yourself whether this type of content is content that only you can do. D, Facebook is the most preferred communication platform in Southern Africa. E, Twitter is more preferred as a social media platform in West Africa than it is in Southern Africa. And F, you should follow your favorite radio presenters online. And then number 3, in her tips for building an effective digital profile, Roxy Burger states that many hiring, program and marketing managers at radio stations will investigate a potential candidate for a position at their station on social media first. Required, in your own words, explain what 2 scenarios you should avoid when it comes to developing your digital profile and why. Okay, and please do this because once again, it's to your own detriment if you don't do it. Okay, remember independent learning. With every class that we do, you should be doing independent learning. So in summary, read page 529 to 538 again. From this lesson and from the reading, you can see that you need to have a digital portfolio and an audio body of work and portfolio to show prospective employees. In the next lesson, we'll be continuing with this body of work, and that is all from me for this lesson. So I hope you've taken in all of this. Until next time, I say goodbye. Bye.